Okay, let's just dive right in. If you're a high-achieving student, you know this feeling all too well. That constant juggle between acing your classes and totally crushing it in your extracurriculars. It's a balancing act that, let's be honest, can feel downright impossible sometimes.
So does your calendar look like a game of Tetris that's just gone completely off the rails? You feel like you're constantly being stretched thin, running from class to practice to club meetings, and all the while that mountain of homework is just looming in the background. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I promise you, you are not alone. There's actually a name for this very specific struggle. It's called academic/co-curricular imbalance. Basically, it's that tipping point where you're trying to excel at everything, but the lack of time and energy means something's gotta give. And way too often, that something is your grades, your well-being, or even both. So, in this explainer, we are going to tackle this thing head on. First up, we'll dig into why this balance breaks down in the first place. Then, we're going to learn to spot those subtle warning signs of burnout. From there, we'll build a super practical toolkit to help you get back in control. And finally, we'll look at a really powerful new way to redefine what success actually means for you.
All right, first things first. Why does this happen? It's so easy to just blame yourself and think, oh, I'm just not organized enough. But the reality? It's way more complicated than that. The problem actually comes from a few different directions, both from inside us and from the world around us. A lot of the time, the pressure really does start from within. It's that habit of saying yes to just one, too many things. Or maybe it's that drive for perfection, that voice in your head that says you have to give 110% to absolutely everything. You can see how that's just a recipe for total exhaustion, right? Especially when good old procrastination decides to join the party. But here's the thing. It is not all on you, not by a long shot. Sometimes the system itself kind of sets you up for this imbalance. I mean, think about it. Drama rehearsals that clash with extra math classes, or a week that's just jam-packed with mandatory school events. If there isn't a clear way to catch up on what you missed, your schoolwork is usually the first thing to take a hit. And then, of course, you've got these huge external pressures. Society is constantly screaming this message that to get ahead, you have to be this multi-talented, all-around superstar. And that pressure, whether it's coming from family or just the culture in general, pushes students to build these massive portfolios, which, surprise, surprise, just feeds that internal perfectionism we were just talking about.
Okay, so with all these different pressures piling up, how do you even know when you've crossed that line from just being busy to heading straight for burnout? Let's talk about the red flags you might be missing. What's really powerful here is seeing how these warning signs pop up across every part of your life. It's never just one thing. So you can see here, academically, it might look like missed assignments. Behaviorally, in that middle column, it could be that you're just tired all the time or skipping meals. And then emotionally, over on the right, it might show up as anxiety or pulling away from your friends. See, it's all connected.
And hey, if you're feeling this, you are so far from alone. A 2022 study by the American Psychological Association found that a staggering 61% of students reported struggling with this exact same thing. Just let that sink in for a second. The big takeaway here is that feeling this overwhelmed isn't the exception. It's become the norm.
Now, knowing you're in the majority might feel a little better, but it doesn't solve the problem. So let's get to the most important part. The action plan. We're going to dive into the practical tools you can start using, like right now, to get back in the driver's seat. We can break this whole solution down into a pretty simple 3-part toolkit. It all starts with mastering your time. Then we'll cover some really smart academic strategies so you can work smarter, not just harder. And finally, and listen, this part is absolutely non-negotiable, we'll talk about prioritizing you. All right, step 1, master your time. A total game changer here is time blocking. This means literally scheduling your study sessions in your calendar like they're appointments you cannot miss. Why does it work so well? Because it protects your academic time from getting nibbled away by everything else. You can also try sorting your to-do list into must-do, should-do, and can't wait. It brings so much clarity to a chaotic day. And yeah, the Pomodoro Technique, working in these focused 25-minute bursts, is an amazing way to beat distraction. Okay, next up, your actual schoolwork. The absolute key here is to be proactive, not reactive. So talk to your teachers before you have to miss a class for a game or a competition. When you're staring down a huge topic, break it into smaller, manageable micro goals so you don't feel so paralyzed. And please remember, you don't have to do this all alone. Lean on your friends for shared notes. Collaboration is a straight-up superpower. This is such a critical mindset shift, especially when you think back to all those internal and external pressures we talked about. That drive for perfection is just draining. The real goal isn't to be flawless in everything you do. No way. The real goal is to be consistent. Just showing up and putting in the effort day after day is so much more sustainable and effective than burning yourself out chasing some impossible standard.
And finally, we get to step 3, which is honestly the most important one of all. You have to prioritize yourself. This starts with sleep. Seriously, it's the foundation for everything else. It also means getting really comfortable with one of the most powerful words in the English language: no. Saying no to an extra commitment isn't letting people down. It's respecting your own limits. You can't do everything, and that is more than okay. Acknowledging your limits isn't a weakness, it's self-awareness, and that is a true strength. So, with this new toolkit in hand, we can really start to shift away from that old, stressful way of thinking and start to embrace a whole new mindset. This is where we get to redefine what success and achievement really truly look like. I mean, this comparison really says it all, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got the path of haste and overload. That's the fast track to burnout, where your passions start feeling more like chores. But on the right, you see a totally different path, one of harmony and discipline. This is where you actually find real joy and real growth. It's the huge difference between trying to do everything and focusing on doing the right things and doing them well. And this quote just captures the core idea perfectly. Balance isn't about neatly chopping up your time 50-50. It's about giving each and everything you do the full, focused attention it deserves in that moment. That is the real art of balance.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. After everything we've covered, what's one small, simple, actionable thing you can do this week to bring a little more harmony and a little less haste into your own life?